So yeah, just very interesting to see how much of each, the structure of each cycle is changing. And probably the hidden side is I'm kind of trying to figure out if more of the sovereigns will come in, and maybe they are coming in, but quietly. So
Yeah, I want to touch on a lot of those topics in more detail. The part that you brought out of altcoins underperforming Bitcoin, I think that is kind of interesting. It seems like potentially some people are resorting to buying like MicroStrategy derivatives, like those 2x long MicroStrategy things, or maybe even like Bitcoin ETF options. Do you think that's taking some thunder away from the altcoins, or is it just retail's not here yet and they're just taking their time?
yeah, I actually do think it's taking it away, somewhat for one sort of class of investor that's got the brokerage accounts, probably much more experienced. It used to be if you wanted to get a gain on Bitcoin, you've got two options. One is to take leverage risk and risk liquidation, or you rotate into altcoins, particularly when it was a bullish setup and Bitcoin was sort of tracked under resistance. People would rotate into altcoins to get that extra pump, extra beta. And you're not seeing that this cycle. And if you look at you rotate into altcoins because you get extra gain on Bitcoin historically with no liquidation risk. Effectively buying something like a MicroStrategy or a MicroStrategy on 2x is producing the same sort of like, zero liquidation risk environment. But if anything, you're getting the same kind of, magnified returns if you time it right.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And it kind of seems like with altcoins, there was always like you're hoping for a greater fool to inevitably buy your bag. Whereas like with MicroStrategy, like Bitcoin is the exit. So like there is no better asset to cash out into. It's like maybe it's more positive sum to be betting on like Bitcoin with leverage via something like MicroStrategy rather than if you're doing altcoins, it's like everyone kind of knows there has to be another greater fool. So they're like, why would we play that game anymore? Do you think that's some of the case as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's you got to still be careful with MicroStrategy, because
Yeah.
there is that kind of premium to NAV, like the underlying Bitcoin valuation, and so that could completely collapse if you think that you're buying it at a particular price, whatever it is. Let's say it's $450 and it's trading 3x its underlying Bitcoin valuation. Then you're gonna get a 67% pullback if the market turns bearish. So at an extreme case, so that's kind of similar to what you're going to get on altcoin. At least that capital is going into the underlying asset of Bitcoin, which is driving the entire ecosystem, and it's not being siphoned off into, 10,000 projects, of which probably only the top 5 or the top 1 or top 0.1% are actually going to execute in a way and produce something productive.
A compelling warning from renowned Bitcoin analyst Willy Woo is causing quite the stir among crypto enthusiasts. With profit taking at a peak not seen since January 2023, there is a buzz of excitement and caution in the air. The likes of Bitcoin, with its mega cap status and ride-along pals in the cryptocurrency arena, are charting the kind of thrilling path that demands our attention. Welcome back to Investocracy Crypto.
Like initially, maybe earlier in the cycle, I was thinking, look, you can buy an ETF or you can buy MicroStrategy, and an ETF is going to charge you maybe 20 basis points or something like that per year, 0.2% to hold it. So you work that over a 20-year hold. A fair percentage of your Bitcoins are going to be lost to management fees. Whereas you could buy a MicroStrategy, and with a long-term hold, it's still got a profitable business, though that's a very small part of the AUM now, and they're going to stack sats. Number two, they're in a situation where they can get almost next to free borrowings to buy Bitcoin, and now they've got this at the market offering where this new mechanism where as long as it's selling at a premium, they can buy more Bitcoin, and issue stock, dilute the stock base, and effectively, as everyone knows, use that cash to buy Bitcoin, and that has a interesting impact because the amount of, as long as you're trading at a premium, it means there's a lower amount of Bitcoin per share than ideal. And as they issue more stock and use that cash to buy more Bitcoins, it's anti-dilutive, and the concentration of Bitcoin per share increases. And so it's kind of, it sounds a bit Rube Goldbergish as a machine, but if you look at the underlying of it, like the mechanisms, it's just opened up this completely huge gateway for fiat investors to convert into Bitcoin through this machine that concentrates more and more Bitcoins per share over time. And so I think that's the second reason why it's getting an increasing premium. And you look at that premium, it went from under 1 at the bottom of the bear to now consistently touching around 3, and it's a straight line up.
Willy Woo, a well-known voice in the crypto world, highlights an intriguing shift, calling for caution amidst the current bullish mania. According to his Bitcoin local risk model, indicators are flashing orange, signaling a need for fear that's countered by the dominant force of greed, as per the latest Fear and Greed Index readings. Intriguingly, the index itself bounced from a neutral 50 to a greed-filled 69, making it the spotlight of many investors' conversation tables. When the price dropped by 15% from the December high, Recht saw it as an unwelcome party crasher, a familiar face from past cycles implying that the Bitcoin fiesta is far from over.
Multiple empires rising and falling, rising and falling. We had the current American empire, we've got the British, we've got Netherlands, Portuguese, French. There's a number of empires that have all rotated being the global reserve currency, but that's not it. That wasn't the money. Like, they were all traded back for gold or silver. And so really we've had thousands, up to 6,000 years of gold and silver having this trust of the world, of having some value, and then we based a currency over it. And then if you look at what with the US dollar since 1971, it's really just a liquidity crisis that happened, that there wasn't enough gold. They confiscated gold and shortly after Bretton Woods, centralized the gold standard onto the US dollar, and then all the gold you can get it, you can claim it from sitting in Fort Knox. And then somewhere along the way, they cut that convertibility because there wasn't enough gold. We can only guess that because there was never an audit on all the world's gold backing all the world's money. So it's never audited, which is outlandish, but there's a liquidity crisis. So what do? You snip it and you turn it into fiat. There's no gold convertibility. And then now people think this is money, it's fiat. No, it's not. It's always tying over liquidity crisis, like Germany did in after World War I. They had a liquidity crisis and they went to fiat. They couldn't be on the gold standard and they hyperinflated. And I think you go back in history, it's always, if you go to fiat, you're screwed, you blow up. And the whole world's on fiat. That's kind of a first, right? Like usually like one sort of empire, one kingdom goes into fiat, blows up, and everyone's on some sort of commodity standard and they're good. But we're all on fiat, so that's probably why it's lasted so long. But can we go back to a gold standard? We can't, because gold's no longer going to be scarce in the future. Even if you draw the gold supply since the industrial age and then comparing it to agrarian age, it's our world on data. You can get that chart. It's on exponential climb, right? And now we've got rockets that are being caught out of the sky that are double the power of the moon rocket, right? And so that thing there is going to get stuff into orbit for let's hope $10 per kilogram, where it used to be $10,000 per kilogram.
Bitcoin remains resilient, its current standing not one of frailty but of latent power poised for resurgence. The moving averages and market dynamics position Bitcoin as a potentially golden opportunity. Whether you're already invested or standing on the precipice of decision, the time to pay attention is now. Bitcoin forecasts suggest that despite its current buffer zone, it retains the potential for upward momentum. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
If anything, I think it's going to be more positive and peaceful with if it moves to a new kind of like a Bitcoin standard. At least Bitcoin's like Switzerland, right? It's neutral. It doesn't have a stance. Without that, then you're going to have geopolitics fighting over the money. I want to be the next reserve currency if I get that. I want the biggest military. And so the stakes are higher. I think that like having a neutral party that does not have any nationality is going to make it better, not worse. So, I think there's hope. I think it's hope. Bitcoin is hope. But I think no one really knows how this is going to play out.
As price levels dance and analysts debate, we leave you with a critical question. What's your take on this enigmatic giant? Share your insights and thoughts spark the kind of discussion that the ever-evolving stock market thrives on. And finally, if you would like to know more about cryptocurrencies or specifically Bitcoin, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.